Hi, and welcome back. I hope you had a good week. This week we're going to be going over lessons 13 to 16 in Level E. And for this week, you will need your Activities for Learning Abacus, the Math Card Games book, your math journal, the square geometry panels, I'll show those in a minute, the centimeter cubes, an empty corner of your room or your front porch. It has to be 3 feet in all directions. Place value cards, worksheets 4 and 5, and your basic number cards. So let's look at those geometry panels. So the square ones are yellow. Here we go. And I'm just going to show you how to attach them. You can fold up the edges here to make the attachment a little bit easier. You just put 2 cards back to back, so the white pieces facing each other. You take a rubber band and you just stretch them between those little notches, okay? And I'm not going to do the whole cube, but I'm just going to show you how you would do more than one attachment. Here we go again, and that's what this would look like, okay? All right. See, so the objective for lesson 13 is to practice 4-digit addition. And once your student has completed the warm-ups and they feel comfortable with those, you will move on to the review of addition on the abacus. If your child was fairly confident in the last lesson with 4-digit addition and trading, I would let him do his work on his own with you watching the first couple of ones to make sure that your child really gets it. Otherwise, go ahead and work together on this problem. The game today is called Column Addition. It's A64. Make sure to use the math journal to write out the problems because it'll definitely keep the numbers in line and organized. Aside from practicing multi-digit addition, your student will also realize that the order of addition doesn't matter. So whether they add 3 plus 5 and then a 4, or they add 4 plus 5 and then a 3, it makes no difference. All right, so for lesson 14, we will learn about the number periods and understand that numbers to the millions and construct a large cube to represent a million. So the warm-up works on multi-digit addition and reviews trading. Next, we will learn about simple numbers. Now, we could call these the ones, but that can kind of get confusing because we already have ones, tens, and hundreds. Okay, so we'll just call this period the simple numbers. These are the numbers from 1 through 999. So it includes the ones, the tens, and the hundreds. Your student will build that cube, that yellow cube, out of the geometric panels, but just make it 3-sided with a bottom. Okay, leave off the top and the front of the panels so that your child can put the cubes, the centimeter cubes, inside easily. Ask how many centimeter cubes will fit in the larger cube. And notice that you won't need 1,000 cubes to know that 1,000 will fit there. You can line up 10 on a side, 10, say 10 along the side, 10 along the back, and then 10 straight up, and do the multiplication and figure out that you're going to get 1,000. Also, visualizing what each layer looks like is a good thing. So they can visualize that there's 100 on each layer and that there's 10 layers. All right, the next period is the thousands. These are the numbers from 1,000 to 999,999. Okay, it includes the thousands, 10,000s, and 100,000s. And just like your child did not fill up the yellow cube with 1,000 centimeter cubes, simply because you don't have them, you won't have enough yellow cubes to make a larger cube with 1,000 yellow cubes. Instead, we're going to have to use our imagination. Use the yellow cubes to measure out the corners of this imaginary larger cube, and then place the cubes that you do have, you can make up to 5, side by side to measure out how far apart those corners need to be. So you're basically giving the perimeter of the cube, the larger cube that you would be building. The next period is the millions. That's numbers 1 million to 999,999,999. The millions are including millions, 10 millions, and 100 millions. So follow up with the in conclusion and then play the game. Either go to the dump, which is A3, Old Main, which is A4, or Fish at the Dump, which is A5, all found in our Math Card Games book. There's also further demonstrations online at our website, and I'll include those links below. So moving on to lesson 15. The objectives for lesson 15 are to introduce the expanded forms and the standard forms for writing numbers, to practice writing and reading numbers, and to introduce the billions. You will need your place value cards and worksheet 4. The warm-ups are 3 problems on the worksheet. Just do the warm-ups for now. The expanded form of a number is best illustrated by using place value cards. So for example, here we have 333, right? But these can be spread out and in an expanded form and illustrated like this: 300, 310, 3. All right, your child will continue to use place value cards to build numbers into the billions. And on the worksheet, your child is asked to write with words the numbers that are given. So say it was 1,897,534, something like that. If your child does not write well or does not know how to spell all the words that are necessary, have your child tell you what that word is, what that number is. And then you write it out, and then your child can copy those words. This separates the tasks that are difficult rather than having a bunch of difficult tasks bound up together. So it makes it a lot easier for them if they're having issues with writing or spelling. But it still gets the work done, so that's important. Ask the in conclusion questions to finish up the lesson. And that was a lot of work, so I probably would not do a game today, but if your child wants to do a game, go ahead and let him choose a favorite game. Or you can use this opportunity to have your student play with maybe a younger sibling, a game that is appropriate for them. All right, lesson 16 is about rounding large numbers. The warm-ups are on worksheet 5 today, and we are working on division. Notice the explanation on the right-hand side of the first page. We are reviewing rounding, but don't have your child try to guess what rounding is, because maybe rounding was done so long ago that if they are wrong about what rounding is, that's the idea that will stick. So just go ahead and explain that rounding is changing a number into a new number that is close to the original number by replacing the least important digits with 0. We will dive right in with rounding 8,396 to the nearest 1,000. Using the abacus makes seeing the answer so much easier. So lead your child to discover the answer by asking the questions in the book. In the second to last paragraph on the first page, it says 8,596 is closer to 8,600 than it is to 8,500, which is halfway. So I would go on to say that since 8,600 is closer to 9,000 than it is to 8,000, that's why we will round up to 9,000. Because remember, we're rounding to the nearest 1,000. Make sure your child knows the procedure for rounding found at the top of the second page. When you get to the worksheet, it is okay if you do a few of the problems together, but make sure that you leave enough problems for your child to do on his or her own. The in conclusion part reviews the procedure for rounding. If your child needs some more practice with rounding, I would play Rounding War. It's game number N46. And we do have a blog about it, so you can go ahead and look on our website for that. Remember to play a game at least 3 times per week, in addition to the games that are suggested after the lessons. And that's all for this week. That went pretty fast, didn't it? See you next time. Bye-bye.